Right then, this is a low quality video recorded in low quality for low quality content on a low quality channel, which is low quality. Anyway, looking at images on Bing Images, I could just as well look on Google Images, that's not important. So-called real ghosts. You don't really make out anything. I mean, this is an example, first thing that came up. And what am I meant to be looking at? I'll just look closer. Something indistinct. Notice afterwards, of course, something indistinct that, on reflection, you know, as kept in hindsight, looks somewhat compelling. Let's move on. This one is probably an edit, to be honest, isn't it? Like if you're combining pictures, there's the issue there. It looks like the image is incredibly sharp, whereas a lot of the other stuff is more grainy and less contrast, which is very suggestive of an edit. You know, you get that kind of thing quite often. I've actually had this kind of thing, not quite the same example, but I've had it with composite images. So you can end up with problems there. Okay, that looks potentially edited in. It's hard to tell, really. You get all these ones where they're kind of pointing. If you have to point at the phenomena, is it really phenomena? It looks a bit like, and this is, I'm just going to play devil's advocado, devil's advocate. Looks a bit like a head, a shoulder, clothing, maybe robes, maybe a bed sheet. I don't call that very compelling. I mean, it could just as easily be, because it looks like it's coming onto the table there, or going through it, a mark on the lens, which could be looking very peculiar considering the noise. I mean, the high noise ratio in the image. It's very hard to tell, but someone's going to say that's absolute evidence. It looks more unexplained. I think that's the key thing. In fact, person I know on Facebook and on YouTube, they mentioned I'd make a good Fortean. I used to have a low opinion of Charles Fort at one point, but that's because I was under a misunderstanding of his view. But to call something unexplained, people jump to conclusions and say, oh, it's this, oh, it's that. And it's like, well, maybe it's just unexplained. You know, unexplained is the best way of describing something we do not have the ability yet to explain, or perhaps we'll never have the ability to, because this image, let's just say in 1,000 years from now, we've managed to work out what these things are like. The original images from today and, you know, recent years will basically be reflected upon, but they could not be explained without the ability to go back to that moment and with the full availability of technology of the future, examine that particular moment, in which case by intervening in the moment you change the parameters anyway. But I'm getting way too philosophical for this time of day. Let's move on. That's an obvious one where it's clearly a person, probably wearing a mask, and very often this is a heavy crop. So someone looking around a corner somewhere, then someone comes back in, and you get a lot of YouTubers who make videos like, could this be a ghost? Well, it certainly seems like it's part of the video. Could be a friend, but I can't explain it. You know, you get people like that, like Chills on on YouTube, who basically make that kind of video. That doesn't look like a person as such. It looks more like a post or a pillar, almost like, I don't know. It looks like there's something tangible there. If it is actually in the image, it looks like something in the image, but unfortunately, not terribly clear. Thing is, if I wanted to do this video better, I suppose I could go through the videos, and I could do that in a future video, couldn't I? Because very often this is, you know, with got late at night, lots of noise. You can see the noise here. Look at the noise in the image because of high ISO on the camera or camcorder or even mobile device. And yeah, you end up with a heavily cropped image that usually isn't all that clear. Or an image in motion, which isn't very clear, so that's not very helpful at all. That just looks like a fake to me, to be honest. Looks like there might be a person in that old building, if they're able to get up there. Oh yeah. That just looks like a person up there, to be honest. That's that one again. Probably going to get a few repeats. Obvious fake, but I don't think anyone's taken that one seriously. There's quite a few where people do take things seriously. What's this? This is from a YouTube channel, like one of their thumbnails where they're saying real ghost, but it's obviously where they go through paranormal activity caught on camera. I can't see anything. That's obviously a person, or perhaps an edit in. It looks like it's been edited. The contrast around the person and the hair, the darkness of it is obviously embellished compared to the background. Otherwise, these dark areas in shade would be far darker. So the contrast is very low here, very high there, suggesting it's an import. Is that person meant to be a ghost? A normal looking person. You forgot you caught them on film. I don't know. That's obviously an import. That doesn't look real at all. Although you could make something like that in real life by the positioning of lights, like a little LED light or lamp to illuminate an area. It looks like it's got a blur motion to it more than the background, as if it's moving, but it's standing in the way, which is static, but it's obviously a fake. But some people take this as being interesting. A lot of teenagers love that shit. They love that shit on YouTube, where they're watching things like that. In fact, I'll do more videos like this in the future, just going through some of these images. Hopefully I'll avoid any pornography, because you know, sometimes when you go for image searches, you just get random pornography or other stuff. Okay, and that's meant to be a real image there. Looks embellished. Looking at the actual image on the left, the full image, it doesn't seem to show that. But obviously imaging tricks, and indeed... Let's have a sip of my coffee. And photography tricks have been, you know, used ever since people first started doing photography. You can embellish things. Someone's going to go to this and go, "You see this woman here? Well, did you see the green man here?" And it's like, you know, it's the man's face. I think you've got to be skeptical about these things. That there, that looks like a dummy in a tree. Possibly an import. If you flatten out an image, you can do a lot of editing tricks to insert things. If you ever wanted to do that, it's easy enough to do. It's not rocket science. But the easiest way of making it seem to be real very often is to use physical props. Use props to suggest something's true, a hanging dummy, or even a hanging person. Not a literal hanging person, but actually sometimes there are. Sometimes people do catch on video a person who's commits suicide when they're recording with their car camera, and what is it, like dash cam, you know, like their dashboard camera. So there is that, but you know, yeah, you see something hang from a tree. Is it a dummy, cardboard cutout, a practice dummy for first aid? You know, it varies. Okay. This looks interesting. Almost like there's someone there. Obviously, I'm not looking at the original image. I'm looking at an embellished image. It's been inflated to show the light. It looks like possibly a person with a ridiculously big amount of hair. And a face mask. It looks a bit like a person with a white coat and a face mask, right? But I can't be sure of that. It looks interesting, and you know, this is the thing. If I don't know, I'll say it looks interesting. You know, I won't just jump to conclusions. It looks like there's no real legs. Looks more like a flat board, to be honest, with things around it. Is that a window or mirror, perhaps, in the background? Then again, you know, with many of these things, if it's not a person, it can be something explainable. Hindsight, you take a picture, you catch a few things, you increase the ISO, and you go, "Oh, that's compelling." Well, in fact, it's not the ISO when you're on the computer. You increase exposure, brightness. You mess around with the gamma settings as well with image editing software. I by the way, use Photoscape X Pro, which is a reasonable image editing program. Which can be useful for this kind of thing if you're looking at images trying to find ghosties, but you probably wouldn't find any, or any of note. It'll be stuff probably worse than this. Oh yeah, that's is that from Most Haunted back in the day? So I'm going for all these thumbnails for people's videos on YouTube, or in this case for the Mirror Online, the newspaper. So yeah, that's obviously fake. Is that meant to be a ghost? A person you're unaware of in a location? That's it. Doesn't seem to be ghostly. Peculiar look, weird coloration, doesn't match the local area. I don't know if that's an import. It might be a clever import. It might just be some kind of prop. A blurry face. By the way, the reason why a lot of old photos are blurry is because they're long exposures. So, say if the guy here was originally there and then he went, oh, there's a gap there, moved. Or someone else was in the image and they moved. Or they moved in part way. Hey, I'll just jump in. And it's like, well, you know, we're already 10 seconds in. It's a 20-second exposure. Maybe not that long. You can end up with things like that. That's why also a lot of the images like this, even though they're on reasonably good film or on a reasonably good plate, or whatever the case may be, depending on the image, you end up with a great amount of blur. You know, so that's a common phenomena. To call that a ghost, as in a disincarnate spirit, just simply off the bat, that's if you believe that is what ghosts are. Some people say ghosts are imprints and the like. Well, it's not good evidence. Not good evidence. I can't really make anything out there. Once again, the problem with image noise and increased either high ISO in camera or increasing exposure and other lighting factors afterwards. When you think you see something, you make out something, and I can't really make out anything. That looks like a person. You know, that does look like a person. But it's probably just a person doing that. It's not anything special, as far as I can imagine, anyway. So I think that's the key thing. When you do just have people who are just dicking around, you're going to get that. And is this a person just like taking a picture in a graveyard or something, or at a monument maybe? And it's like, yep, there I am. Then this goes viral. Maybe they get on local radio. I don't know. That one just looks like a kid. It's a lot of these images. They just look like a person's walked in. They don't look particularly remarkable or like they prove anything supernatural. Okay. It looks like there's a person in the background. Maybe they were walking in and they were caught in the image and they realised they were going to be in the image and they turned back. I don't know. So between the first image and the second image, if that's the order in which they were taken, the first is taken and it's like, I'll just take a picture with the young girl there. So the family take a picture. They didn't notice the person because they're focusing on the girl. And it's almost like tunnel vision focusing with human beings, by the way. Unless you're, open to stuff on the peripheral, then you're not really going to notice stuff as well, unless something comes very close and very obvious. So, as in physical phenomena. But, I don't think that's terribly convincing. Interesting, though. I can't really make anything out there. Some kind of stuff in the background. Someone suggesting that's something unpleasant. I don't know. That there looks... It does look like a face. It looks like a kid's face in the window. Yeah, looks a bit like a young boy. Partially that's pattern seeking, though. And could be the side of something there. But that does actually look like a boy. The question is, at that location, would it actually be a boy? Well, that's the question. There's that classic thing from... Was it from... Hampton Court. Was it from Hampton Court? The seat of Henry VIII. And the idea is there's a person in robes and they're shutting a fire escape. It's like, how helpful of them, disincarnate beings, centuries dead, and they're going to appear to be perfectly physical, perfectly tangible, and they can just move fire escapes like any other human being. People call that evidence, but and no person has been traced at a particular issue, dressed up in their robes and shutting the fire escapes at the end of the day. So, presumably, we're meant to believe that that's a ghost, which seems a bit doubtful. It's more likely than not just someone in a robe dressed as, I don't know what. Hard to say, really, because I wouldn't really know the location nor, in fact, the way in which some people might well dress as members of staff if they're offering historical tours. That one looks very fake, heavily imported, you can tell. One easy tell is obviously how it contrasts with the background. This looks like it's purposely translucent. So you can see the background there. Is that the other shore or a reflection on the water? I think that's reflection on the water. So, yeah, it's not very helpful. And once again, excuse the quality of this video. for this low quality channel, but inevitably there'll be many things you can't make out that I can't make out because I'm not looking at the originals, which I will try and do with some video content in the future, so keep that in mind. I can't see anything there. Is she meant to be a ghosty? Don't get that. That looks fake. It just looks obviously fake. You get someone in makeup, a few things to look evil, get them in a little image, someone runs off. It's usually done by kids, sometimes by like, art students, photography students, actually filmography, videography students, where they'll do something of this kind. Alternatively, those just with the passion to do something. And it's a very short video indeed. It's like 2-second long video. So where's the original? God knows. I don't see anything there. No. Looks like a person with a weird fucked up face. Thing is, with a lot of the low quality images as well, it's easier to edit and lower the quality afterwards, which tends to cover the effect of editing methods. So quality is all dragged down and made to be very similar. So if you get a high quality import of an image, put it into a relatively medium quality format, well in fact into an image that's medium quality, or a video that's medium quality, then you drag down the scale even more. That's why a lot of these videos are like thumbnail kind of images, you know, stuff that would look grainy even on a mobile phone, which might be where some people are watching my videos and this might not look so bad. But in any case, yeah, it just looks terrible, grainy. Looks a bit like there's a huge, weird, crooked smile and a big nose. But that's actually looking like it could be the side of her hoodie, or her hood on her coat, if it's a coat or hoodie or scarf. And her nose is normal. And I'm not sure if that's the whole of her mouth or what, but everyone looks a bit weird in that image. She looks weird in that image too. You can call her a ghost. And the eyes, well, I don't know, was there a picture taken, a flash? Hard to say. I wouldn't know without the original, and even then I wouldn't know for absolute, so just be able to give a slightly broader opinion. No. Fake. I love that. Is this real? Let me think. But yeah, this is the kind of thing you see out there. This is also the kind of clickbait thumbnail that people tend to use. There's a lot of that out there. And that just looks like a smudge. You can add that in easily with editing. Obviously, using various tools to balance out the noise is quite helpful with this kind of image. Otherwise, you end up with the noise being very strong in the background, but not over the actual import. So that's probably an import image there, import shape. So you lighten in an area, keep it fairly nebulous, and it seems to be more compelling. Okay, what am I looking at here? A dark smudge. So the man was probably near someone, perhaps in the woods, or maybe it wasn't a person. It's simply a other version of the previous method. Instead of a light smudge, it's a dark smudge, not very noticeable. I've actually tried trolling UFO hunters and that by having fake images, but there's so many out there that they, go, oh, that's interesting, then you just don't get any feedback. So it's interesting to see what you can get. This is a very low quality image. It's not even worth mentioning. Is it meant to be a ghost? Seriously doubt it. It's a ghostly wallpaper, fake thing. I think I saw this video where it's meant to be someone's photography studio, conveniently. You mean people with the skill and the equipment to fake stuff are actually not faking stuff, they're seeing real ghosts? It's that kind of thing. Obviously, fake things. You put a mask on the back of someone's head, put a few bumps on them perhaps, take it in black and white in the dark. That could be a kid. It's debatable, isn't it? But this is just thumbnail stuff that you tend to see on YouTube. Anyway, this is part one of this kind of newish series of me responding to images and videos. So thank you for watching.